Hello and welcome back to part 2 of my little Gunpla Girl SD RX78-2 Kitbash thing that I'm doing. If you haven't seen the first video, then the link will be up the top or in the description somewhere. Go back and check that out because I've done a lot of steps to get to this point. So we're on the home straight. The figure looks in the right sort of proportions to me. We've got two little holes in the top of the head which were for B antennas off the original kit that head's from. So I need to fill those. So that's what I'm going to be working on next in the video. But as you can see, the waist and the thighs, where I've done the extensions, they're pretty much done. First thing I'm going to crack on with is the two holes in the head. Just using a little bit of Tamiya putty, and I'm just going to blob that in those holes and then sand it down, trying to sort of follow the contours of the hairline. So hopefully those two holes won't be noticeable. Okay, so moving on to the helmet now, or the head of the Gundam. I'm working out here what I'm going to do, because it doesn't really look like much of a mask with it full up of Gundam parts. So what I'm doing here is I'm actually cutting down the interior piece so that I can have just the kind of visor part, so to make it look as though you could put this on your head. And here what I'm doing is I'm pointing out the sort of the lip or the rim around the Gundam head. That needs to come off. I can cut that lip off and do a little bit of editing with the knife here just to hollow it out to make it look a little bit more like a mask rather than a Gundam head. So I'm chipping away with a variety of tools just to try and get that done. Out come the nippers just to get rid of a bit of plastic. I'm really just trying to thin out the mask piece as much as I can, keeping just enough plastic surfaces to still kind of fit together, but removing anything that is excess as best I can anyway. Okay, so just removing the plastic from around the inside sort of lip of the Gundam head, just clipping it away little bit by little bit, trying not to sort of warp or stress the piece, because cutting out large chunks like that, I could feel the piece was gonna, the sort of the curved piece of the Gundam head was gonna like bend. So I just nibbled away with it, little pieces, then a hell of a lot of sanding, just trying to sort of follow that edge around with a bit of sandpaper, trying to get it as close to the edge as possible without breaking the piece in my hand. And the end result is a sort of a hollowed out mask shape, which I was fairly happy with. And as you can see here, realistically the head would fit inside there if the hair was actual hair and it could be sort of, flattened. It doesn't quite fit in there, but realistically it could, and that's all that matters to me. Okay, so here I've got all the pieces laid out. I've got them in colour sort of order, so the white pieces are going to be white, red pieces, blue pieces. There's a few pieces that are left over in the box that I might not bother painting. The yellow bits and the face I'm going to leave, so I might just clear coat those and not bother sort of painting them, because they're going to be the same colour and I haven't modified them in any way. So first things first is I've got to spend a hell of a lot of time sanding down many pieces until they've all got sort of a bit of a rough surface, and then give them a clean. And then I set them up ready for paint on little sticks. As you can see, dog's very interested in what's going on, following some light, chasing a bit of light, being all dangerous in front of the Gunpla parts. So anyway, painting, there's not a lot to say here really. I'm just using an airbrush, and I use Vallejo paints. I find I haven't really used any other type of paint for airbrushing. I've only ever sort of used Vallejo and kind of stuck with it. I find some of the colours are a bit hit and miss. Some go on really great, and some of them are a little bit ropey, and I find out that the white that I actually chose was not a very good white. But essentially what I'm doing here now at the moment is just priming everything using Vallejo grey primer. I think the primers from Vallejo are very satisfactory. Like I said, I can't compare it to much else. So grey primer's going on first of all, and colour wise I'm going to be using Vallejo Game Air Bloody Red. That's the best red I had to match in the Gundam red. I don't think it's exact, but it's close enough. I'm going to be using the Model Air again, Vallejo Model Air French Blue. That is, as far as my eyes can tell, an identical match for the blue of a Gundam. And for the white, I used Panzer Ace's Stencil, and I didn't think it was very good. I've used Vallejo Signal White as well before, and I didn't like that either. So far, that's two types of Vallejo paints, white paints, that I've tried that I didn't really like the finish of. So I've got another one, Mecha Color White. I'm going to try that on my next project, and hopefully that'll be better, because these two I've not been too impressed with the whites so far from Vallejo. Anyway, back to what's going on. Oh, and for the hands I used Vallejo Metallic Black, and that's another colour I quite like. I use that quite a lot for frame parts. So anyway, I'm not going to go through and show you all of the hours of footage of me just spray painting. It's going to be extremely boring, so I'm going to skip ahead to the clear coat stage. Now, the clear coat that I'm using for this project, I'm not using acrylic clear coats anymore, because not knowing any better, I just kept everything acrylic. So I was using acrylic paint and then an acrylic clear coat afterwards, and then when it came to doing panel lining or any kind of weathering effects, it was just destroying the finish of the paint. And that's because acrylic, even the acrylic clear coats, even once they dry, they are susceptible to water damage. You can eat them away just with water on a Q-tip. So I've actually changed now to Hataka, I think that's how you pronounce it, Hataka lacquer based clear coats, and I've found that that's been a complete and utter game changer for protecting the paint. It dries super quick, and it's really strong, and it isn't affected by water or enamel thinners. Because it's lacquer, it'll only be affected by lacquer thinners. Find it much better. The only downside to it is it absolutely stinks. It's proper toxic. That's why a lot of people don't use them, and acrylics are the main things you can find because they're safer. So they do come with a bit more risk, but for the finish, I definitely recommend these. Okay, so there's just a couple of little details that I needed to hand paint. So I painted the cross on the shield yellow. It comes with a sticker, I think, in the SD kit, but I try not to use stickers if I can help it, because they only unpeel and look crappy eventually. So I'm not very good at hand painting. I don't have very steady hands, so I did my best to try and paint the cross yellow and not go over the lines. Luckily, there's a red piece of the shield clips over the cross so that it can hide any bad lines. So anyway, here are all the pieces finished and in the box. What I've done is I've given them all a gloss coat of Hataka lacquer, just so that I can do a bit of panel lining. I'm just giving a little dab of like grey panel line accent colour from Tamiya. The panel lines on this kit aren't very deep, and I really did struggle with getting good panel lines, good clean lines. So maybe in future I'll think about scribing some deeper lines in. But to be honest, this is just such a little sort of mess about project that I didn't want to go too serious with it. I want to keep it fun, and it is what it is at the end of the day. I'm not trying to win any awards. I'm only doing it for myself, and hopefully for the entertainment of someone watching. So all that's left now is to reassemble everything, put it all back together. Hopefully it all fits due to the added paint and the gloss, but I think we'll be alright. Then I'm going to give the whole kit a coat of Hataka satin lacquer because I don't want it to be too glossy. I only glossed it to help with the panel lining. I want the actual finish to be more of a sort of a semi gloss satin finish, so I'm going to use the satin lacquer for the finished coat, and then we can take a little look at the finished project. So here we have the finished project. It's as done as it's ever going to be. There are a few imperfections and bits and pieces that I could have spent more time on and made look a bit better, but I'm calling it done here because I don't really want to get bogged down in projects. I want to finish them and move on to something new, otherwise they tend to never get finished. So this is as good as it's going to get. I'm pretty happy with it. It's a nice little display piece. I'm going to put it with the rest of my SD Gundam collection. The things I'm not happy with, I mentioned earlier in the video, was the coverage of the white paint. It's kind of got like, even after giving it some gloss, it still had a bit of a chalky sort of look and finish to it. I think that I'm probably just buying the wrong paints, so I need to try a new white. The only other thing that I wasn't particularly pleased with was the hair. I don't know if you can quite see it on camera, but there's supposed to be purple streaks, so I kind of tried to airbrush purple sort of tones to the bottom of the hair to give it a sort of black into purple shade, but it didn't come out quite as vibrant as I wanted. Could have worked on that a bit more, added highlights and stuff, but like I said, to be honest, I just wanted to get it finished and out the door. Paintwork I definitely need to improve in. I'm going to do better on the next kit, I think, with some better colours, but on the whole I'm very happy with it. I've put it here next to the original RX-78 cross silhouette kit, just so that you can see the comparison of what it was before and how I've changed it to make my creation. So anyway, I hope you have enjoyed this video and you'll stick around for more. Hit the like button and subscribe if you're new here, and I will catch you on the next one.